Hello, everybody. Kristin Brindley here with Laurie Mensing, our cover for May. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do on page 40. Thank you so much for being with us, Laurie.
Hey, Kristin, it's great to be here. How is everybody over at your side of the fence?
Everyone's wonderful here. My daughter's in the next room over doing school, and I appreciate getting time with you. You this past year, you were the #1 individual agent for Virginia, the region, McLean. Number 232 in the nation individual agent with $74 million in sales, $500 million over the last 15 years. You are also very humble. Like it's fantastic to see, and I really appreciate you interviewing and talking to everyone and sharing your wisdom. So I appreciate that you're here.
Well, thank you. Never done a podcast before, never been recognized in this kind of way. So thank you. I appreciate all that you and real producers do for our industry.
Thank you. Well, so tell us, so how did you end up in real estate? You're a super sharp gal. You can do anything. Why real estate?
Oh my goodness gracious. It's a little bit of a longer story, but I'll shorten it. I have had the privilege to be married to a man that has had an excellent career with a company that's moved us all over the world. We've lived internationally as well as domestically. And we settled back here in Northern Virginia. Gosh, we've had like 3 or 4 different tours here, although we're not military. I use the word tour. I thought I would start my own destination services company, actually, when we've moved back here from London. And so I thought, well, the first arm of that is getting my license. And I did. And very quietly went about figuring out where I was going to land, hang my license. And the rest is history. I worked for a services company out of Chicago when we lived in the Middle East for a while, doing boots on the ground help with families getting housing. How do I buy a car? Will my light bulbs work in my lamps? That kind of thing. So the service industry to the public and housing and that kind of thing has always been very intriguing to me and exciting. And so I thought, well, I'll get my license and then we'll go from there, because people need housing first. And then you can go on to all these other tentacles of opportunity to start a business in that realm. But long story short, I never looked back. I was Rookie of the Year the very first year I went into it, with only about 2 months under my belt, because I was licensed in late October. But I just love it. My mantra of wanting to treat people like I wanted to be treated in a transaction has come true. And that was really came to me when I was trying to decide, okay, if I'm really going to do this, why am I doing it? What's my why? Why am I going to go into real estate? And it was because we had bought and sold 12 homes in 18 years. And I thought, well, I never felt like I was ever really treated as I wanted to be treated by our realtor or by the transaction itself. It was always a burn and churn in the back of my mind with whomever we were working with. So I thought, I'm going to change that. I'm not going to do that. So my little tagline that I have is that I treat every transaction as if it was my own. And I really do. I really do. When a client asks me a question about something, I try to pause and really think, before I answer, because it's, what answer would I want? Honesty. So that's kind of my spiff.
I love it. I feel like that is, your standards have created such success because you care about your people. You have a history in business. I loved it. So tell us about your early life and family, and then family now. You were on the Mother's Day issue too.
Well, I grew up in a family business, and so I really have a great appreciation for working hard. I mean, that sounds kind of normal to anybody who has a business, but I know what it's like to work long hours and to forfeit sometimes family time in the interest of what you have to do at a time when you have to do it. I think that one of my biggest elements of success, truthfully, is the support of my husband. He's my champion and cheerleader for sure. I mean, he has given up a lot in terms of the household and the way that this life we've had with 3 children were run from a very long time. And I think the first 3 years of me doing this was a huge eye-opening experience, not only to him, but to my family, because it was suddenly like, Jesus Christ, where in the hell is mom? But it's all good. And I have to say, I have great respect and admiration for people who do this business with young children, because I really, mine were launching out when I started, and it's hard. It's very hard to do it with a family. But my kids now are all grown and doing great, and I'm very excited because my son and daughter-in-law and my grandbaby are moving back. So I'm very excited about that.
That is fantastic. You get to see them way more.
Yes.
So what's been like most challenging and most rewarding for you, Laurie?
Oh my goodness gracious. I think the most rewarding is the interpersonal relationships that I've been able to have with families, with my clients. To be told I'm pregnant, or I'm getting married, or I'm going through a divorce, or my husband just passed away. I had a situation, true story, where I had a client call me immediately when her husband had just suffered. She was alone and didn't know who to call. And honest to God, she called me. And I hung up the phone and I thought to myself, oh, of all the people she calls me. And but that kind of interpersonal relationship and skills that you have, that you build and foster these kind of relationships with people, I think is the most rewarding. The most frustrating is probably, in all honesty, the unprofessional realtor. I think that is really the most frustrating, is dealing with an unprofessional realtor on the other side. And I think sometimes that's just training, or an understanding of certain things. But, we work together and collaboratively to get the deal done. And I would hope that maybe they learn a little bit from the process and can be better on the next one. So
I can absolutely appreciate that. The real producers, the top 500, you all do about 85% of the business in the greater Northern Virginia area out of close to 20,000 real estate agents. So
wow,
there is a vast difference between the real producers and, some other people, I have a feeling. So we want to honor everybody, but y'all do a lot of the business. So what does success mean for Laurie Mensing? What does success mean to you?
I think that at the end of the day, success is leading a balanced life. I think at the end of the day, you have to be able to put money on have enough income to be able to put money on the table to feed your family. I mean, obviously people define success monetarily, but I think that a balanced family, a balanced personal world, and just leaving a little kindness wherever you go, I think that's success.
Wonderful. I think that's a great answer. What are you currently learning?
Oh, patience. I think I am a pretty patient person in general, but I just had a knee replacement surgery. So I am learning patience there. 3 years ago, I had a foot fusion, which taught me real patience as well. And the market right now is teaching me patience. I'm so excited that we finally won a contract last night with one of my buyers that I think we wrote 7 or 10 offers. I don't know how many we wrote, but patience in this market right now is just huge if you're working with buyers. and keeping the motivation and positive attitude and energy, patience. I think right now I'm working on patience.
Patience to be able to serve better. I love it. So
Yeah.
what about hobbies and interests? Like, do you have any hobbies and interests outside of real estate?
Well, I like to needlepoint when I have time. I love to needlepoint. It was a hobby I had for years and years and years ago, and I picked it back up again during COVID in a big way. So I like that. We just recently bought a lake house up at Deep Creek Lake. So
Yeah.
I think just enjoying family time at there is definitely a hobby. I'd love to cook. My daughter is a great cook, and we like to cook together. Taking walks. Let's see what else. I reading. I love to read.
You like to read. So that's a great segue. So for what has been an educational class or a book that's really impacted you?
Well, educational class, the only thing I would say to anybody is I think it's very important, especially when you are starting your business, is to have systems in place. And one of the best things I ever did when I first started this business, I was just, green out of the gate, 30 days, 45 days. I got some advice to do a Buffini program. And so I did. And I know there's tons of programs out there. And I don't necessarily drink the Kool-Aid from it, but I do. It was very instrumental in serving me very well to put systems in place that I could pick and choose and carry on and do, what I needed to do. And so I think whatever you do, whether it's a book or a class or a program, do something to put systems in place that help your efficiency. From a personal standpoint, I love one of my favorite books of all time is As a Man Thinketh. It was written back in 1903 or 1904. It's an old one, but basically it's telling you how to master your brain in terms of taking energy and putting it into productive, successful attitudes of how you live. One of the things that I have hanging in actually my powder room is the Optimist Creed, which is from As a Man Thinketh. And it was given to me. I have it here because I want to show it to you. I was glad you asked. I want to read it. Can I read it real quick?
Yes, goodness. Yes.
Okay. So this is really powerful stuff. The Optimist Creed, and it's just called Promise Yourself. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel that there is something in them. To look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true. To think only the best. To work only for the best and expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own, to forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future, to wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile, to give so much time to the improvement of yourself that you have no time to criticize others, to be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit the presence of trouble. So there you have
it. I love the Optimist Creed, and I feel like you are actually, you are doing your best to live the Optimist Creed. So I got teary-eyed. So thank you.
It's a powerful thing, and I think that if the one thing we as people can control, I think, is our attitude, and we can choose every day to be positive. or negative. And we can choose to allow negativity and people to creep into your world and bring you down, or you can pick yourself up by your bootstraps and carry on. And you know, how blessed are we to live in this country and be able to do what we do and help others and be the best people we can be.
That is beautiful. And, you know, living in this, like being born in this country it shows up in my gratitude journal like every day.
Yep.
We are very, very fortunate. So what do you feel are, you know, the biggest reason or reasons for your success? What habits do you think that have attributed to that for you?
Probably just treating people like they want to be treated. I mean, that's what I think is the biggest success. And that includes realtors, you know. If you have to get nasty, you know, if I've ever had to get nasty, which I can count probably on one hand, I always preface it before I get nasty by saying, you know, I don't want to have to get nasty, but if you make me get nasty, I'm going to have to get nasty. But I think just treating people like they want to be treated, you know.
Yeah.
The
No,
golden rule.
I love that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So biggest failure. So what do you think has been like the biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Oh, I can tell you one of my biggest failures was at the very beginning of my real estate career. I had an incredible opportunity to list a house, and I had sold. I had helped them purchase a home, a very expensive home, and we were listing their home, and I did not discount the commission. That was a mistake. That was a huge mistake. I mean, and it was the only time that I did not listen to my internal gut, where you treat people like you would want to be treated. If I was selling my home and I was buying another home and I was doing all this work with one, I would expect some sort of a cut on commission. And I think that's fair and equitable. I really do. I mean, that's fair and equitable. And I'm out there saying it. I mean, it's, you know, greed will get you every time. And I've always said that. And I did not listen to myself, and I'm mad about it. I'm still mad about it. You know, 15 years later, I'm still mad about it. So, you know, lesson learned. Lesson learned. Trust your instincts.
That is absolutely great advice. So what's the greatest lesson you've ever learned, Laurie?
I think the greatest lesson is when you have a client who is upset, angry, distraught, mad, is to just listen and validate. Just validate. When you validate someone's anger, they can't be angry anymore. I mean, if they're yelling and screaming and ranting and raving, and you say, you know, I would feel the same way. I'm angry too. It just shuts them down. It just takes that whole anger level and just goes, whew, and then it allows a conversation to have, and you can start to problem solve. So I think that the most important and most valuable lesson I've learned is to validate people's concerns, feelings, attitudes. I mean, and all of that. Feelings don't have any place in a transaction, and we all know that. And so when the feelings overcome the transaction, you just have to validate, bring it down, and carry on.
What would you like to be remembered for?
Oh my goodness gracious. I hope I'm around for a while longer. I think just being a good negotiator and caring about my clients and just doing really well in terms of being kind through the process of real estate. I think that one thing I'm really kind of proud of is that my business, I'm perceived as being a listing agent, but my business is really 50-50 listing to buyers. I spend as much time and energy on buyers as I do listings. And I think that gives me a great ability to negotiate, wear both hats, understand the process, and do really well at that. So, I don't know, maybe I think it would be to be remembered equally as a buyer's agent as well as a listing agent, I think is powerful too.
I think so too. Well, I very much appreciate this great interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here. Real producers.
Well, thanks, Kristin. I'm looking forward to being a part of Real Producers on a more regular basis. And thank you for all the support you give to all of us. My goodness gracious, you're an incredible lady. You need to have somebody do an interview about you because what is it, 4 businesses you own, and you have a daughter, and you've got all this going on in your own life. You are an incredible, inspirational person, and what you do for our industry is really exciting. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Laurie. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.